Right-wing Fox News host Tucker Carlson is engaging in the revisionism of the January 6th riots in our Capitol. In fact, back in the day, I remember thinking that Alex Jones was kind of unique in his lunacy. But no, now that flavor of lunacy is just the dominant gene within the Republican Party, within conservative media, and this is definitely a perfect example of that. Tucker Carlson, in a 3-part documentary series, claims that January 6th was a false flag operation. Let's watch.
Domestic war on terror is here, is coming after half of the country.
The helicopters have left Afghanistan, and now they've landed here at home.
And the left is hunting the right, sticking them in Guantanamo Bay for American citizens, leaving them there to rot.
We are dealing with an insurgency in the United States.
Terrorism from white supremacy is the most lethal threat to homeland.
I've been told that I'm a white nationalist. Me.
FBI,
They've begun to fight a new enemy in a new war on terror.
Not Al-Qaeda, white supremacy.
False flags have happened in this country. One of which may have been January 6th.
His truth is marching on.
No, that was pretty incredible. To use the failures of a right-wing administration, the George Bush administration, as somehow a playbook that the left is using against the right. That is amazing. And by the way, listen to that rhetoric. The left is hunting the right. They want to take them to Guantanamo Bay.
No, they seem to say that they already were Guantanamo Bay.
You're right. That the left is taking the right to Guantanamo. Really? What's the evidence for that? That's amazing.
So last night we showed you a trailer for something called Patriot Purge. It's our new investigative documentary on what happened on January 6th. It debuts Monday on Fox Nation. This morning we woke up to this tweet. It comes from Congresswoman Liz Cheney of suburban Virginia, who for some reason represents the state of Wyoming in the House. Quote, Fox News is giving Tucker Carlson a platform to spread the same type of lies that provoked violence on January 6th. At the bottom of her statement, Cheney made her point explicit. Make this man stop talking. Deplatform his show at once. That was the point of the tweet, and it was pretty amusing to read it. This is not CNN. We work for Fox News. Our bosses don't pull people off the air just because some screechy little politician doesn't like what we say. Sorry, Liz Cheney. Keep in mind that Liz Cheney has not even seen the film that she's so angry about. Just the trailer, 1 minute and 42 seconds, pulled from 3 full episodes. Liz Cheney is not waiting for the facts here. She knows for certain that we've got weapons of mass destruction, and she plans to invade. According to Liz Cheney, this show is dangerous. Because we dared to report on what actually happened on January 6th, this show is somehow, she says, abetting violence. Now, if that argument sounds familiar, there's a reason that it does. That argument is a staple of those hysterical purple-haired college activists you see yelling at people in viral videos. Your speech is violence, they shout. Our violence is speech. So in other words, burning down America's cities is a civil rights protest. Shooting an unarmed female Trump supporter to death is an act of courage. But objecting to racist propaganda being posed on your kids in school, that's terrorism. Lock those parents up. Now, that is the official position of the Democratic Party and has been for at least a year. What's interesting is that suddenly it is Liz Cheney's position too. And in some ways, you can see why Cheney was so enraged by our trailer. Until yesterday, she and Nancy Pelosi had a monopoly on how Americans were allowed to understand January 6th. It was a racist insurrection, they told us, with straight faces. It was the single worst day of political violence since 9/11 and the Civil War. That was their often repeated storyline, and they were entirely in charge of that storyline. No questions were allowed. But unfortunately for them, that is not how a free society works. Politicians don't get to put parameters around your thoughts or conversations. Free people are permitted to ask any question they want. They can follow the facts to their own logical conclusions. And that's exactly what we set out to do months ago when we began reporting out this story. We spoke to dozens of people who were directly involved in the events of January 6th. We screened hundreds of hours of relevant videotape. What we found in the end bore no resemblance whatsoever to the story that you have heard repeatedly from Liz Cheney and from Nancy Pelosi, as well as from their many obedient mouthpieces in the media. They were lying. We'll have all the details for you next week. In the meantime, by the way, we had hoped very much to speak to Liz Cheney directly tonight. Sniping over social media can be amusing, but it's not really the way adults communicate with each other. So we called Liz Cheney's office this morning to invite her on the show, but she emphatically refused to come. It turns out that Liz Cheney is not simply a liar, she is also a coward. It's not really surprising, neocons usually are cowards. In any case, our offer stands. Liz Cheney is always welcome on the show anytime.